All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say, call halayim Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakah Quitash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who have taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book of the Bible. All right, so let's get into some news, man. All right, I'm here to let you know what's going on, what's happening. All right, so you know what time we're living in, man. All right, so you're not living under a rock. We're watching, man. All right, and we're living in that time that Yahweh Shai spoke about, man. All right, there shall be wars and rumors of wars, man. All right, look up for your redemption draweth nigh. All right, Yahweh Shai is getting ready to crack that sky. All right, again, Yahweh Shai said there shall be wars and rumors of wars. All right, and you literally hear about war every single day. There's war going on right now, every single day, all over the world. All right, technically we're in World War III. It just hasn't been officially announced as World War III. But we're in World War III right now. All right, which is biblical prophecy. It's written all throughout the scriptures. And that's what the true prophets and the true servants of the Lord have been prophesying, man. All right, a third world war. All right, when you read Revelation, the 11th chapter, all right, it says the second woe has passed and the third woe cometh quickly, meaning the third world war. All right, has it not came quickly? Are we not here? All right. So Yahweh Shai getting ready to crack that sky, man. All the prophecies are happening at the same time, man. All right, wars and rumors of wars. All right, sedition among men, uproars of the people, civil war, martial law about to pop off, this digital ID, all right, being talked about every single day. All right, the mark of the beast is getting ready. Bro, all this is happening so fast, man. This is why the elect that's still out there needs to come back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Y'all need to hurry up and come into this fold, man. So we can get out of here, man. You know, we want Yahweh Shai to return. We want Yahweh Shai to give us these new bodies, man. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. We want to see America destroyed. We want the kingdom of heaven, man. You know, we're tired of this living in chains of darkness. We're tired of seeing all this wickedness going on. You know, we're tired of this mental, emotional, physical pain. You know, so it's time for you elect to come and take heed to this word and come back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. All right. But anyway, let's get into some news. Let's watch, man, to let you know what time we're living in, what time was going on, man. You know? So what you have right here is an article, and the title reads, Netanyahu in Washington, D.C. to meet Trump as Iran nuclear talks intensify. Yeah. All right. You know, tensions and between these nations are intensifying, and it's only going to keep intensifying. All right. Nothing is going to calm down. Or what you thought peace was coming? Huh? You thought peace was coming? Or you thought everything was going to be okay, right? See, everything is going to be okay, but only for the elect, because they have warned, they have prophesied, right? They have gotten the blood off their hands. All right, when you read Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter, all right, what did the Lord say? Matter of fact, let's get it. All right, let's get that real quick. Let's get Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter, starting around the 16th, 17th verse, right? Yeah, the 17th verse. All right, so this is Ezekiel, all right, 3 and 17. I'll start at verse 16. It says, and it came to pass at the end of 7 days that the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. All right. A watchman is a prophet. All right. A watchman is another word for a prophet or a seer. All right. He told Ezekiel, I have made you a watchman, a prophet unto the house of Israel, meaning unto the nation of Israel. So that's who we prophesied to, unto you Israelites, you Negroes, you Latinos, and Native Americans, because that's who this word is for. You Israelites, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the elect of you this time around. You know, the word is for all the nation of Israel, but this time around, it's only for the elect. We know the elect is only going to take heed to this word and come back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai according to prophecy, man. You know, a small remnant shall return. You know, in the book of Isaiah. You know? So it says, Ezekiel 3:17, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Yeah, he said unto the house of Israel. He didn't say unto the house of Edom, to the house of Elam, to the house of Cush, or to the house of Canaan, right? To the house of Japhet, Gomer. No, he said to the house of Israel, because again, that's who this word is for. So we prophesied unto you Negroes, you Latinos, you Native Americans. Because the elect is of the nation of Israel. It's not of no other nation. All right. So let's also prove that, all right, with Psalms. All right, let's get into the book of Psalms. What is it? Psalms 119. All right, let's get that real quick. All right. So let's get it. This is Psalms 147 and 19, right? It reads, He showeth his word unto Jacob. All right, the Lord showed his word unto Jacob. That's who he showed his word to. Who is Jacob, man? All right, the second born son of Isaac. What nation comes out of Jacob? The nation of Israel. So when the Lord said he showed his word unto Jacob, he showed his word unto the nation of Israel, the Israelites. That's the only people he ever showed his word to. All right. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He has not dealt so with any nation. So he hasn't done this or dealt this way with any other nation. He only gave his word to one people. All right. He has not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord Yahweh. So that goes hand in hand what we just read in Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter. When the Lord told Ezekiel, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel, because that's who this word is for. It's for no other people. The Lord didn't say, go preach this word to the nation of Elam. I mean, we are supposed to teach the other nations who they are, right? And what their judgment is and what they have coming for them, which is captivity and slavery, letting Esau, Edom know that he's getting ready to come down. His kingdom is coming down. His rulership is coming down. All right. But this good news, this gospel is for Israel, man. For you Israelites, you Negroes, you Latinos, and Native Americans. And the good news is that the Lord is getting ready to come back and return and take us up out of this captivity, this slavery, this hellhole that we're living in under the hand of Esau, Edom. That he's not always going to have us in captivity, man. That the Lord is getting ready to make us kings and gods and rulers of this planet Earth once again. And it's going to be forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. That's the good news, man. All right? Because our people need saving. And Yahweh Shai is coming back to save us. You know? Psalms 147 and 19, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He has not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. praise ye the Lord Yahweh. And matter of fact, let's get this in the NLT or another version, right? Let's get it in the NLT as well, because in the NLT is even clearer, right? So it says right here, all right, on the right side, I just read it in the King James, but let's get it in the NLT version. On the right side, it says, he has revealed, verse 19, he has revealed his words to Jacob, his decrees and regulations to Israel. He has not done this for any other nation. So the Lord has not revealed his word to any other nation except for the nation of Israel. Again, verse 19, he has revealed his words to Jacob, meaning he has revealed his words to the Israelites, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's who the true Israelites are today, right? His decrees and regulations to Israel. He has not done this for any other nation. So this word is for no other people, no other race of people. It's not for the nation of Edom, the so-called white man. It's not for you Hamites, you so-called African nations, right? Because you had your hand in the cookie jar too when it comes to our slavery, you so-called Africans, right? You Ethiopians, all right, which are known as Cushites in the Bible, all right? You Mizrahites, you Egyptians, which is known as Mizrahites in the Bible, right? Y'all had us in slavery too, going back to during the time of Moses, right? When the Egyptians had us in slavery before the Lord split the Red Sea, right? It says he has not done this for any other nation. They have not known his regulations. Praise ye the Lord Yahweh. All right. So let's go back. Let me take this away real quick. All right. So let's go back to Ezekiel, right? And then we'll get back into the articles and what's going on in the world, man. All right. But lessons within lessons, right? So it says Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter. All right. Because this was the point I was trying to make. All right. In verse 19. All right. It says, I'll start at verse 17 again. It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman to the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. All right. That was also part of the point that I was making, all right? Because we have been warning you, we have been prophesying unto you about this 3rd World War, about these wars that's about to pop off, about these civil wars and race wars and race riots and all the chaos that's getting ready to pop off out here. Have we not been telling you and warning you for years and years to come? Have we not been warning you about this 3rd World War and America's destruction? About all these wars that's about to pop off, right? In these last days. Right? Because going back to this article, which I started with, right? Netanyahu in Washington, D.C. to meet Trump as Iran nuclear talks intensify. Yeah, because all the nations of the world, these tensions in these last days, they're getting higher and higher. They're intensifying, man. And it's not going to calm down, because this is the will of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. The Lord's will was to bring all these nations together for this 3rd World War. Like I said, you thought peace was coming, huh? You thought wrong, because no peace is coming. All right, that's why you also have another article here. I brought this out earlier. All right, a couple weeks back, a week back or so. Right, because you have something that's known as Davos, all right, which is in Switzerland. All right, every year the elites come together, on the World Economic Forum stage, which is a stage of global elites, to let you know the plans they have for this earth, man. The plans of their new world order agenda. All right, and that the Davos 2026. Like I said, because they meet up in Switzerland, because that's where all the elites are at. The global elites are at. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. They live in that area in Switzerland. That's where they reside, man, and rest at. All right, so they come together in Switzerland every year, on stage at the World Economic Forum stage, and they talk about their plans, All right, and this year, at Davos 2026. All right, Trump has something known as the Board of Peace, which not all these nations are with the Board of Peace. Why? Because no peace is coming. That's the will of the Lord. That's in the mind of the kings of these nations, to not want peace with Trump. All right? The scriptures say in Proverbs 21 that the Lord's in the mind of the kings, you know? Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. But let me read this title real quick. It says, Poland and Italy say they will not join Trump's Board of Peace. Yeah, because no peace is coming. Now, these nations are not going to come together for peace. They're going to come together for war. Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter, the 8th verse. Joel, the 3rd chapter, starting at the beginning. That whole chapter is talking about World War III. The nuclear missiles and the nuclear destruction. Joel is one of my favorite books. You know, the 2nd chapter is talking about the nuclear missiles and the destruction. The 3rd chapter is talking about the nuclear missiles and the destruction, this 3rd World War. You know? All right? All right? So I just said I was going to get a scripture, but it kind of slipped my mind. All right. Anyway, you know, if it be the Lord's will, come back. But let's go back to Ezekiel again. All right. It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. So we're supposed to warn the elect. You know, we out there prophesying, all right, unto the nation of Israel. You know, because we're prophesying, you know, we know that the elect is only going to come back, but we're prophesying unto Israel, you know, not knowing who the elect is. They just going to walk up to us and hear this word, and they going to come into the fold, man. All right. So we're giving warning unto the nation of Israel, mainly, first and foremost, the elect, because that's who's coming back. All right, we're warning that Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai is getting ready to destroy America, man. So we're warning them, listen, you better come back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, because you don't want to get caught in this nuclear fire. You know? So the Lord said, give them warning from me. And that's what we're doing. We're warning, man. We're letting them know about the time of Jacob's trouble, the hell, the chaos, the anguish, the suffering, the mourning that's getting ready to pop off. The martial law, the famine. All right? Great hell on a very high, great and grand scale is coming. And it's not a joke. All right? It's not a joke. There's nothing to be laughing about. Nothing to be smiling about. We're living in the most serious time ever. There's nothing to be laughing about, bro. There's nothing to be smiling about. It's time to fear Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Straight up. So we're warning you, man, in hopes that we gonna be saved. Because we about to get into it right now. The Lord said when you warn them, all right, and the wicked turn not from their wicked way, all right, you gotten the blood off your hands and you delivered your soul. Because you, even though they didn't, you know, come back, you did what you said, you did what you're supposed to do. You did what the Lord commanded, to go out to the highways and hedges, right? And that's what we're getting ready to read it in verse 18 and verse 19. Right, but verse 17 again, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. And this verse also lets us know that these pastors in these Christian churches are not the true prophets of the Lord. Because what are they warning their congregation about? Are they telling their congregation on Sunday morning, right, that World War III is coming, that America's going to be destroyed? Are they warning them about the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip? Are they warning them about the famine that's getting ready to pop off? Are they warning them about martial law, the time of Jacob's trouble? that America's going to be destroyed, nuclear missiles are being shot off, right? Are they warning them about any of these things? No. You don't hear about this in church on Sunday. The pastor not telling you, all they do is preach a false word, right? They're not teaching you who the true Israelites are, right? They're not letting you know that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is the devil that the Bible speaks of, right? Anyway, verse 18, when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thy hand. Yeah, because we didn't warn the people, right? If you're not warned, because if you're not supposed to receive this knowledge and tuck it in a napkin, right? Once you find out you're an Israelite, you receive this knowledge and all this wisdom, this teaching, right? You got to go teach it, man. You didn't just receive it for nothing. The Lord didn't just give it to you for nothing. Shoot, you're supposed to, when you learn that you're an Israelite, you receive all this knowledge and wisdom from the prophets, all this teaching, right? You're supposed to be excited, man. You're supposed to let your people know, like, listen, nigga, we Israelites, bro. You're supposed to let your home, listen, bro, you're supposed to teach your homeboy. You're supposed to teach your people, yo, you're supposed to be like, listen, bro, we Israelites, bro, we those people, bro, we the people of the Bible. You know? So the Lord is saying, listen, you don't warn these people. Their blood, I'm going to require at your hand. So not only are they going to die, you're going to die too. Because you didn't warn them. You know? Verse 18 again. I'll start at verse 17. All right? It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman into the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thy hand. Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. Yeah, you delivered your soul. You got the blood off your hands. You did what you're supposed to do, right? You warned him, but he didn't return back from his wicked way, but you did what you had to do, right? So his blood is not required at your hands anymore. You got the blood off your hands, right? Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. Yeah, you delivered your soul. Listen, the Lord see you did what you had to do, right? So you good, right? But anyway, let's go back to this article, right? So, yeah, because the BBC also reported on it too as well. All right, but I got to hear the people's voice. I'm always on this site. I like this site right here. All right, Netanyahu in Washington, D.C. to meet up Trump as Iran nuclear talks intensify. Yeah, and they're only going to keep getting intense. Right, no peace is coming. Only the false prophets teach of peace. Right, the prophets always spoke about war and destruction and hell and chaos. All right, it tells you that in Jeremiah 28:8. All right. And the prophets of the ancient world are the prophets today are the prophets that were in the ancient world. So the prophets always spoke about war and famine and pestilences and destruction of kingdoms. And that's what the prophets are doing today. They're prophesying against countries and kingdoms of war and pestilences and of evil. Jeremiah 28:8. All right. So it says Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has arrived in Washington, D.C. to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump. And it tells you that the false prophets speak of peace, and that's also in Jeremiah, the 6th chapter. All right, they have healed the daughter of my people slightly, saying peace, peace when there is no peace. It says it in Jeremiah in Jeremiah 6, that everyone dealeth falsely, even down to the priest, teaching peace when there is no peace, right? And no peace is coming. All right, things are going to keep getting worse and intensifying. And it should put fear in your heart, man. Make you want to come back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai so you can escape all this danger. Right? All the hell and chaos that's getting ready to erupt. Matter of fact, let's get that, right? In the book of 2nd Ezra 9, right? 2nd Ezra 9, and I like this chapter. Let's get it. 2nd Ezra 9. I start at verse 7. It says, "And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith." Yeah, because the works and faith go hand in hand, right? If you had the faith, you would do the works. If you had the faith, you would come out here to the highways and hedges and preach and teach, right? Dealing with all the scoffers and scorners, being instant in season, out of season, right? Being diligent, right? And making these videos, that's all the works. Keeping of the laws and the commandments, that's all the works. You know, keeping the laws and commandments to the best of your ability. That's all that's done by faith. All right? What does it say in James? All right? Faith without works is dead, because the works is the faith. Right? It says, show me your faith without thy works, and I will show you my faith by my works. All right? So it says, verse 7 again, "And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed shall be preserved from the said perils." Woo! All right? "And shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning." Yeah, the elect was chosen from the beginning. The elect was predestined to be the elect. When the Lord was creating the entire nation of Israel, all right, when he created every spirit, all right, through Yahweh Shai and the angels, right, they said, all right, this one's going to be the elect, this one's the elect, this one's the, oh no, this one's the 2/3, this one's the 2/3, or, you know, this one's a 2, you know, when we were created, all the elect was created to be the elect, and the 2/3 was created to be the 2/3, man. All right, everything is predestined, you know? So it says, "Everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils." All right? So this is why we do this, man. We teach, all right, and feed the sheep. The Lord told Peter three times to make sure that he knew that he was serious, man. You know? The Lord told Peter 3 times, his top disciple. The Lord told Peter 3 times, his top disciple, if ye love me, feed my sheep. Because our people are lost. They need healing. They need to be taught right from wrong. They need to be taught Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. They need to be reborn again. So the Lord said, if you love me, feed my sheep. So we're here to show Yahweh Shai that we love him, man. By teaching and prophesying and preaching and feeding the sheep, the elect. So we do this in the hopes that we're going to be saved. Hopes that we're going to be saved, preserved from the said perils, like it says right here. Shall be preserved from the said perils. And shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. All right. Then it says, verse 9, then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways. So now it's going into the 2/3, the ones that's going to be destroyed in the said perils. Right. It says, then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, And they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. Yeah, so y'all gonna dwell in torments. When all this hell and chaos and suffering and death and destruction, mourning, pain, and anguish comes upon the face of America, you're going to dwell in those torments because you have scoffed and scorned and mocked the prophets. All right? You have abused the ways of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. You have cast away his law. All right? You have put it behind you. All right? Talking about, oh, I'm covered by the blood of white cracker Jesus. That, because these Christians think that, since Yahweh Shai died on the cross, that they could just do and live however they want now. Right? That their blood just, you ain't got to keep the laws no more. Because that's what they think, man. That's why they get tattoos and, and do what they want to do. So it says, then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they have cast them away despitefully, shall dwell in torments. For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me. All right? They don't know Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. All right? It's verse 11. It says, and they that have loathed my law. Right? The word loathe means to hate. So the Lord said, those that loathe my law or hate my law, while they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not but despised it. Yeah, so you loathe the law of the Lord. You despise the law of the Lord like these Christians do, man. Right? Because they think that the Lord's blood, now that, he died on the cross, he said, now they ain't got to keep the law anymore, right? Because it tells you in the scriptures that that we're not going to be justified by the law, that we're going to be justified by faith. And that's true, yeah. All right, because in order to be justified by the law, you got to keep the whole law. Because if you break one law, you break all the laws. Right? But if you had that faith, you would keep the laws. The Lord said, if you love me, keep my commandments. In John 15, let's grab it, man. All right, let's the book of John. All right, excuse me. What am I? John, what's that? 15 and 16, right? These are the words of Yahweh Shai. Oh no, that's not it. It's John 14, I think. John 14 and 16. These are the words of Yahweh Shai. John 14 and 15. All right, this is the word of the Messiah. This is the Messiah speaking. All right, he said, no, this is not it. Yeah, it is. Excuse me. John 14 and 15, it says, if ye love me, keep my commandments. So if you love the Lord, you would keep the laws and the commandments. Right? And what did Apostle Paul say? Right? In the book of Romans, the 3rd chapter. Right? Let's get it. All right? Romans 3, all right, and 31. It says, do we then make void the law through faith? Yeah, because the scriptures say that, that we're not justified by the law, that we're justified by the faith. And again, that's true. That's what the scriptures say. Right? Because in order to be justified by the law, you got to keep the whole law. The scriptures say if you break one, you break all the laws. Right? But that doesn't mean you don't keep the law anymore. We just read in John 14, 15. Yahweh Shai said, if ye love me, keep my commandments. And we're about to read right now, Romans 3 and 31. What did Paul say? Do we then make void the law through faith? Yeah, you're not supposed to avoid the law now because you have faith. If you have faith, you will keep the law. We just read in 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, that everyone that shall escape the said perils, all right, shall escape through their works and their faith. The works is the keeping of the law to the best of your ability. And going out to the highways and hedges and teaching and preaching and feeding the sheep, man. This gospel. All right? So Romans 3:31, do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid. God forbid meaning no. So Apostle Paul said we don't avoid the law just because now we have faith. If you have faith, you would keep the law. Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid, meaning no. Then he said, yea, we established the law. Come on, man. All right, so now let's go back to 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, right? So it says back in verse 10, it says, for such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law while they yet had liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it, the same must know it after death by pain. Woo! All right, so a lot of people getting ready to know death by pain. A lot of people getting ready to receive painful deaths out here in these last days, when all this hell and anguish and pain and suffering and death and destruction comes upon the face of America. You know? Let's get back into this article. You know? It says Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has arrived in Washington, D.C. to meet up with U.S. President Donald Trump. All right. It says Trump will host Netanyahu at the White House on Wednesday, which is today. All right. As tensions continue to rise across the Middle East and negotiations intensify, only curbing Iran's nuclear weapons program. Netanyahu is expected to push President Trump to take a tougher stance in U.S. nuclear talks with Iran, and that goes into prophecy in Jeremiah. All right, the least of the flock shall draw them out. The least of the flock is talking about Israel. The least of the flock shall draw them out. Draw who out? Babylon. Draw them out into war. All right, Netanyahu is expecting to push. That's in that prophecies in Jeremiah 50, which is talking about America's destruction. All right, in this third world war. All right, it tells you that it says the least of the flock, which is Israel, is going to draw Babylon out into this third world war. All right, the U.S. Israel is going to be the reason why U.S. is in this war. All right, in this third world war. All right, it says Netanyahu is expected to push President Trump to take a tougher stance in U.S. nuclear talks with Iran. All right, he had originally planned to go to the U.S., all right, for a 19th February meeting of Trump's Board of Peace for Gaza, but reportedly brought his visit forward as the U.S.-Iran talks proceed. All right, you got a video here talking about Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrives in Washington, D.C. to meet Trump. All right. It says Netanyahu is expected to press Trump to pursue a deal that would halt Iran's uranium enrichment, all right, and rein in its support for proxy groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. All right, I will present to the president our outlook regarding the principles of these negotiations, Netanyahu told reporters before leaving for the U.S. All right, Iran has said it will not limit uranium enrichment unless Western nations scale back sanctions, all right, that have severely strained its economy. All right, Netanyahu's visit on Wednesday, all right, marks his 6th trip to the U.S. since Trump's return to office, more than any other world leader. Woo! All right, a close Trump ally, Netanyahu has long argued that Iran represents an existential security threat to Israel and has pushed the U.S. to curb Tehran's influence in the region. And this is all coming from on high. This whole conflict and controversy is all coming from on high, from the elites, the Rothschilds. All right? Tensions and wars are created, all right, by the bankers from the Rothschilds, man. When you read a book called The World Order by Eustace Mullins, which is a book I like to bring out, all right, which Eustace Mullins, he was a scholar, all right, he studied and did all his research at the Library of Congress, all right. When you read that book, The World Order, all right, he breaks it down how wars don't start unless it's given the green light from the Rothschilds. And their influence is so great on the wars that happen on this earth that they even decide the outcomes, the end outcomes of wars. You know? So when a country attacks another country, that's the green light from the Rothschilds. A country can't even attack another country unless the Rothschilds give you that green light. All right, so all these wars they got a saying. All wars are all wars are bankers' wars, and that's true. All right, because there's money in war, and it's also part of the New World Order agenda. All right, it goes into the depopulation agenda, because wars kill millions and millions and millions and millions of people. In this third world war, billions of people are going to die, more than World War I and World War II combined. All right, millions of people are going to die in seconds. Okay, so it says the prime minister believes that any negotiations must include in seconds, bro. All right, it says the prime minister believes that any negotiations must include limiting ballistic missiles and ending support for the Iranian access. Netanyahu's office said in a statement ahead of his trip. All right, the visit comes as the U.S. increases its military presence in the Middle East, with Trump warning Tehran of actions if it fails to strike a nuclear deal, which it probably is going to fail. All right, because listen, the Lord is getting ready to make things happen. Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, is getting ready to make things happen, man. All right, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. All right, that's the name of that's who's making things happen, man. All right. It says on Tuesday, the president said that he was thinking about sending a second aircraft carrier strike group to the Middle East, and I think that actually is happening right now. All right. So, you can read the rest of this article. Yeah, this article about to end. All right. It says the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier was sent to the region last month after Trump threatened to strike Iran to stop a government crackdown on mass protests in which thousands of people were killed. We have an armada that is heading there, and another one might be going. All right, Trump said in an interview with Axios. Trump said Iran wants to make a deal very badly, adding that a diplomatic solution remains possible. All right, so you can read the rest of this article. Israeli officials have also said the country reserves the right to take military action against Iran if it doesn't reach a nuclear agreement with the U.S. All right, so you see what's going on, man. All right, BBC also reported on it. All right, Netanyahu to meet Trump as Iran nuclear talks reach critical stage. All right, and then you got this right here. Let's go through this real quick. Poland and Italy say they will not join Trump's board of peace. Yeah, because no peace is coming. What do the scriptures say? All right, when they shall say peace and safety. All right, and that's all you've been hearing. That's all you've been hearing, bro. Peace. That's how you know destruction is imminent. The scriptures say when they shall say peace and safety, then shall sudden destruction fall upon them, and they shall not be able to escape. Woo! All right, so I'll read this real quick. All right, so it says February 11th, which is today, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, February 11th. All right. It says Poland and Italy will not join U.S. All right, join U.S. President Donald Trump's Board of Peace. Warsaw and Rome, all right, said on Wednesday, adding to the list of Washington's allies remaining on the sidelines. All right, yeah, because Poland and Italy, those are American allies, man. All right, and they're not even joining. That goes to show you, because the scriptures say, all right, the 10 horns shall hate the whore. The 10 horns being the European Union, which is America's allies, Americans allied nations, and America's allied nations are not even joining peace with them, man. Come on, man. All right, so it says adding the list of Washington's allies remaining on the sidelines initially, because everyone's starting to hate America, bro. Even America's allies, bro, they hating Trump, all that. All right, initially designed to cement Gaza's ceasefire, Trump sees the Board of Peace taking a wider role in resolving global conflicts, which some countries fear means it could become a rival to the United Nations. You see? All right, let's read that again. Initially designed to cement Gaza's ceasefire, Trump sees the Board of Peace taking a wider role in resolving global conflicts, in which some countries fear means it could become a rival to the United Nations. Excuse me. All right, this along with the fact that Russia and Belarus were invited to join means many Western countries have taken a cautious approach. All right, taking into account certain national doubts regarding the shape of the board. Under these circumstances, Poland will not join the work of the Board of Peace, but we will analyze it, Prime Minister Donald Tusk told a government meeting. All right, our relations with the United States have been and will remain our priority. So if the circumstances change that will enable joining the work of the board, we do not rule out any scenario. All right, Tusk was due to meet nationalist rival President Karol Nawrocki later on Wednesday at a National Security Council meeting where the Board of Peace was on the agenda. Meanwhile, Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani also confirmed on Wednesday that Italy will not sign up. All right, we cannot join the Board of Peace because there is an insurmountable constitutional barrier on Italy's side. All right, he told Sky TG24 news channel. All right, however, if we need to work on reconstruction efforts aimed at ensuring peace in the Middle East, we are ready to do so, he added. All right, so you see what's going on. All right, you see what's you can read this article. If any brothers is watching, you could do lessons on it. All right, so Lord willing, Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai Ratazad, this lesson is and was edifying. Call Halal Yum Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakal Quitash. All right, so on to the next one. Shalom, shalom.